Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters in Zone 5/6/ repositioned or recategorized to just 6, which we'll see how that pans out. So let me know where you're at, where you're viewing from, what you still got growing outside, if you've still got anything growing outside, and also if you're growing inside, you can let me know what you're growing as well, because we're going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to talk about some of the microgreens, which will then lead into seed starting, guys. Whatever we're talking about microgreens, we're also talking about seed starting, essentially, because everything is the same, basically, between the microgreens environment and the seed starting environment. So we will utilize the microgreens to ensure that our seed starting setup is on point before the season arrives. So let us see here, my friends. Look to nature. Yes, hello, my friend. Says Nate, you got my thumbs up, but I will have been awake for 30 hours around 12 o'clock. No promises, but I will rewatch later in worst case scenario. Blessings, tribe folk. Wow, 30 hours. Yes, that's quite some time. That's quite some time. We wouldn't hold it against you if you had to catch some Z's, my friend. Dale Cornatzer says, good morning, Viking family from Northern Kentucky. Nate, will some of the other liquid fertilizers work, like the JMS, when putting them on the garden during the off-season? Loving the prep work. Well, they work by different methods. They operate by different means, okay? So the JMS is actually not a nutrient. It is a biological. The other JLFs, the JDOM liquid fertilizers, are more the nutrient based. They also can be the biologicals. I mean, there is plenty of biology in it, but that's not the point of it, actually, because in the anaerobic ferments, we actually we let the bacteria do all the work. You know, we let the bacteria digest everything. And then once it's all digested, the food source in the liquid fertilizers, once everything is consumed, then the microorganisms sort of die off because there's nothing to eat. And so therefore, they leave behind all the activity of their bodies, their feces, their byproducts, all of that stuff. And that's really rich. And those are good nutrients in either already plant available forms or in very close, easily accessible by the other microorganisms that surround the roots of the plants. Yes? So, whereas the JMS, there's no nutrients in it as far as N, P, and K. I mean, totally negligible amounts of that. I mean, not even hardly noticeable. But it's bursting with the biology. So that actually will lead me right into, I got a couple questions from you guys that I wanted to answer, make sure that I answered. And here, I think one of them is about the JMS, okay? So Dorothy said, hi Nate, I have some questions. You said once the solution has been made, talking about the JMS. This is on the JMS video. You said once the solution has been made, it should be used at its peak condition. Do you mean the entire 5-gallon container has to be used on that day? But then you said to apply this once a week. So this solution has to be made once a week from scratch? Question mark. But if I can't use up this 5-gallon amount in one day because I have a small garden, what do I do with the rest? Okay, those are all good questions. And so we have to realize that the JMS, the microbial solution, is a biologic, and the microorganisms grow exponentially. And so if you know anything about exponential graphs, you know what I'm talking about when it hits the hockey stick chart. Exponential things, especially things that are doubling, exponential by 100%, then it like goes on for a little while, nothing really seems to be happening, and they're doubling, but then exponential graphs hit a point where it skyrockets, everything quickens at a really fast pace. And so they go from being, not that many to boom, 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 boom. And then they're filled the entire thing. And so that is why once they start hitting that and you see the peak of the JMS, microbial solution, you have to use it within just a few hours, really. You have to, because if they're not introduced into the soil, the microorganisms, then they will die because there's no food for them. If there's no food, they're not living because they're very hungry. They don't have big storage capabilities. So that is why we have to make it fresh and use it at its peak. So no, you can't add more. You can't add stuff to it and just throw it out if it's gone past its peak and make a new batch. Now, if you're wondering what to do with the rest of it, anywhere that you don't have plants in the garden, you can add it straight. Okay? You can add the Jadam microbial solution straight anywhere that you don't have plants in the ground. If you have plants in the ground already, you have to dilute it. Okay, you can dilute it no less than 1 to 10, right? Because the salt factor, the burst of microorganisms can throw things out of balance if there's already plants in the ground that are already doing things. So I like to dilute it 1 to 20 and stick that, that's, that is good to go. So no, you can't store it. It's got to be used at its peak because it's exponential growth and it's filled the whole thing. Billions and billions of microorganisms have been cultured in that microbial solution. That is one of the advantages over the aerated compost teas. Aerated compost teas are great, but you can't tell when the peak is, the exact peak. And for sure, they hit a peak, but not quite in the same way because you're putting oxygen into it and it's got a food source and you can sort of add more molasses and stuff like that. So it's much more forgiving, but at the same time, the aerated teas, you can't tell because it's all in the bubble activity. And if you get good at making JMS, then you will understand what I'm talking about. You can tell that there's like that 4 to 6 hour window where it's just bursting with life. Thick foam, a nice solid ring around the whole thing. That's when you want to introduce it into the soil. Maximum number will go to work. Okay? Working with microorganisms, guys, is a numbers game. All right? So any kind of numbers game, you got to throw more numbers at it and more will take hold. Oh yeah, chamomile that was picked during the summer that captured the essence of summer in its delicious wild mountain flower type apple delicious flavor. Also the lavender steeped in hot water. Yes. Let's see here. CyberCert said, I was here before 12, but just got the stream started now. I see we are 5 minutes in. I'm using YouTube app on Pixel 7. This happened last week too. I'm puzzled. Yes. Well, some of them there's a small thing that says live and you press the live and that'll jump you up to where we are now. You have to press the live because we are 8 minutes, 17 seconds in. Teats Treats says, I recently watched the video, There Are No Weeds. I love the gardening theory videos. I've been thinking about this since I watched the video. Yes, my friend, this is the truth. When we look at nature in this way, we can see that there is no such thing as an unwanted plant. Of course, in our gardens, there is more or less, but nature doesn't really make that distinction. The weeds are voracious for a reason, because nature needs them to heal the wounds. That's why weed seeds can remain dormant in the soil for a decade or longer, many of them. They're made in such a way with certain enzymes and stuff that until the conditions are right, they will just remain dormant. They won't rot, they won't sprout until all of a sudden, the temperature changes or the light, mostly the light. Once something happens to the soil, then those weed seeds will come up to the light, and that say, okay, it's go time, boom, and then they proliferate like crazy, yeah? But like thistle seeds and stuff like that, they can remain dormant for years until the time is right, because nature never wants bare soil. Nature never wants an open wound. It's like it's flesh. The crust of the earth, it's like the soil, the covering. It doesn't want an open wound, just bare soil. So, yes. Dorothy Fu, yes, I answered your question. I hope that you go back and read that. Good to see you here. Good to see you, Brian. Says, a little late today. Much peace and blessings, my Viking friend and tribe. Yes, it's okay to be late today because we are nearing Christmas, guys, next week. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. And of course, Brian is going to be there tomorrow at 11 Eastern Time. We're doing our first ever discussion of the Power of Now, which is a super transformational book, guys. It can be very beneficial if it comes to you at a certain point in your life. I mean, this book alone, if you haven't read it already, and you want to get, it's very accessible. You want to get into the spiritual state of mind, or you want to understand the nature of reality a bit more, then you can start with this one. But we're doing a once monthly book read on the other channel, Thrive Like a Viking. And tomorrow at 11 on that channel is going to be the first discussion, live discussion. So we're going to have read chapter 1 by then, and then we can discuss it, you know, to what degree this medium allows for a discussion. But I will mostly be giving my thoughts on it and clarifying things if you guys need that. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. So AK Froggy says, don't know if you answered my question at the beginning. The stream came on at 5 minutes in. Ooh, yeah. So I'm not sure what the question was. I would have to see. Donald Hughes says, up to 100 foot of raised beds ready for next year, and 2 10 by 30 beds. Nice. That's going to be awesome. Awesome. You can get it nice and tucked in for the winter, let the decomposition happen. This is a very mild winter so far, and so there's still a lot of decomposition happening here. Yes? Let's see. And Lisa T says, Nate, can you please give us a summary of your winter gardening projects by month? When you start what? Overviews rock. Many thanks. Kathy Tittle suggests Nate growing calendar. Yes, eventually when I get into that state, when I can be making the website and all of this kind of stuff, we will have that kind of thing. The main thing though is just that there's such vast variations in zones. And so that's the only thing that really changes. That's I don't want to alienate too many people by saying, okay, here is when you start this and this, you know, because that fluctuates based upon where you're at. I can give general guidelines, of course, but the main thing is that the fundamentals are all the same. So you have to make sure that the soil is covered. You have to make sure that your base fertilizers are down already. Hopefully, if they're manures, you want them to be down already, applied to the soil. If it's compost, you can wait till the spring, till the time of planting or a few weeks before. You want to make sure it's covered. You want to keep the straw all over it. This year, I've gone all straw because the past like 3 years, I've done super deep mulch of leaves. I mean, to an absurd degree. And so I want to just give it a rest for a while and use the straw instead. So, yes. Crystal, good to see you here, my friend, says, I second that. A calendar would be awesome. Yes, we will do that definitely at some point. That would be great because timing is so important. I mean, it is important. So we will be, so Bobby McCarney says, I'm wondering if onions is a heavy feeders. Yes, onions are heavy feeders and they have shallow root systems and they require a mild soil. Mild meaning mellow. We'll say mellow. So they require a mellow soil. And that means that they don't want big chunks of rocks and huge clay that just got turned over and stuff. They need it to be worked a little bit, in my experience, for the best results. You want it to be worked a bit so that because their roots don't go down all that far. They have real thick roots, very much like spaghetti and spaghetti noodles. And so they like to go down, so they like a mulch. They like a grass clipping mulch. But apply all of it, so where you're going to be putting your onions, apply the fertilizers now, as far as the base fertilizers. Remember, guys, there's base fertilizer and additional fertilizer. Base fertilizer is the most important, and if you do it right, is all that is needed. And that is what you put into the soil. That is your manures, your chicken manure, the cow manure, the horse manure, the all different sorts of things, or also the compost. Yes. And so all of that, and the cover crops, the green manure crops, definitely if you're still tilling the garden, that's okay. I mean, you can do that for a few years, although in the long run, no-till produces much finer soil and is better for everything involved. But at first, getting the soil conditioned, you can till it for a few years if you have the means. You don't have to, but you can, and use the green manures. So that's all the base fertilizer, and that's what's most important. The additional fertilizers are all of the liquid stuff. The fish fertilizer, the urine, the weeds fertilizer, the everything fertilizer. All that stuff is great, but that's secondary. That's like after you've taken care of the base fertilizers, okay? So for onions, you want to make sure that the base fertilizer is nice and rich, right? And Phoenix Rising says dog manure. Typically if the dog is fed a real diet, meaning raw, like what a dog would naturally eat, sort of raw, organs, meats, bones, whole bones, never cooked, of course, because once the bones cook, then they splinter. But the dog can eat raw bones, no problem, with the marrow in it and all. If they have a natural diet, yes, absolutely, you can use it. But where most of it is wrong or goes bad is when most dogs eat dog food, which is like as if we ate McDonald's and protein shakes for every single meal our whole life. That's what it's equivalent to. Never eating what we're meant to eat. Fresh living foods and pastured meats and organs and things like that. So dog food is the equivalent of us living on a diet of McDonald's, and then expecting to thrive. So in that case, no, it doesn't really make a good fertilizer, and it can have pathogens, and the dog can be unhealthy and all kinds of stuff. So as in everything, it all comes down to what is the organism consuming. This is important. Yes, Brian says, it's great to see all the pictures on the Discord. He's talking about the Discord chat. So there's a link in the description to that if you want to get into that. He says, it's nice to see what the tribe is doing. Cooking, fermenting, gardening. Yes, because we can put pictures on there, which is great. So join that, guys. I chime in when I can, of course, but it's kind of taken on its own life now. So you guys are sharing knowledge, all kinds of good knowledge on there already, which is fantastic. It's very much like this chat, except, any time that you want to do it and with pictures. So, and I don't have to talk constantly, I mean, this is, anyone that knows me in my day-to-day life knows that I don't just talk nonstop, for like an hour and a half straight, just talk and talk and talk. I spend most of my time listening, I mean, I can get on bouts where I'll talk passionately, but this medium is just like the flow of consciousness, okay? Flow of consciousness, so it's very different. Let's see here. Elizabeth Hendricks, hello, my friend, says, hello, everyone from sunny 49 degrees southern New Hampshire. Yes, yes, yes. It's about the same here. Yeah. Rose Halpin says, hello. Are you still thinking of your cooking show? Absolutely. In the future, that will be definitely a part of it. Once the whole operation gets more momentum to it, then yes, and we get the land and stuff, the new kitchen will be all about content. So I can do live cooking shows, something like that. It'll have to be its own separate thing, definitely, because they perform terribly on this channel, even though I just love making cooking videos. But we haven't even scratched the surface of the cooking, because that really is a passion of mine. I mean, so just like it's growing, they're one and the same. Cooking and growing is the same. Yes, Lisa T says, Thrivers, just got the audiobook Power of Now from my library, narrated by Eckhart Tolle. Looking forward to Monday, chapter 1. It's Sunday. We're doing it special. We're keeping the book separate from the whole channel. Separate from the Monday live. So it's on Sunday. It's tomorrow at 11. So we'll see if everybody can remember. But Monday is still happening, but it's independent. Yeah. somebody had a question about. K Jack says, "Love your channels, Nate. Your intro is great. Can you say it one time for me?" Okay, my friends, here it is. Yes, here it is. And somebody asked about peat moss. Okay, Jenny Grubb says, "Could you explain your feelings about peat moss if you have any? I bought a garage sale box that had some in it." Okay, peat moss is not soil. So we have to make that distinction, okay? It is actually a soilless growing medium because soil is a combination of sand, silt, and clay with microorganisms involved, okay? That's it. So none of the potting soils that you get from the store are actually soils. The stuff Pro Mix and all of that, Miracle Grow and all of that stuff, and even the Black Gold and even the Fox Farm, none of that is actually soil. It would be the only actual soil at the store is the topsoil, you know. And so, but that's okay. We can deal with that. So we have to understand that in the soilless growing medium, which is the peat moss, all right, oftentimes with perlite and stuff like that, then we have to fertilize. We have to have a fertilize regimen in place because the actual peat moss isn't a good nutrient source because there's no soil there. So we have to either add things like fertilizers, the dry fertilizers we can add. We can add the liquid fertilizers. We want to add the aerated compost teas to that, definitely. And B says, peat functions similar to native soil, but technically, yeah, it's soilless potting mix. Correct. I mean, and it functions the same way in terms of how you can grow things in it, but it doesn't supply the minerals. Soil supplies minerals and all the things that the plant needs, but the peat moss can never do that. It doesn't do that. And so even as it breaks down, it doesn't become very nutrient rich for the plants. Mick says, "Sad I'll miss tomorrow's live, but I'll be in a duck blind. I've read chapter 1 though." Nice. Good luck, my friend. Take some pictures or videos. Post them to the Discord. So with the peat moss then, now a lot of people do not like it because of the sustainability issues, because it comes from ancient bogs that are not going to be renewed on any type of human time frame. And so when we are mining these nutrients, this peat moss, it's never coming back. We're just increasing total entropy, of course, of the resource, which is the peat. And so for that reason, and it requires massive resources to transport it. Think of the diesel it takes to transport just pallets and pallets and pallets of peat moss-based soilless medium from Canada or from Scotland or from wherever it's mined. So it's majorly consumptive of resources, yes. And in my experience, it doesn't last that long. It will break down. So you get 2, 3, 4 seasons from it. Even if you're adding stuff into it outdoors, it's just breaking down, and it doesn't make that good of final product. So all those things you have to take into consideration. It's not very nutrient rich. It becomes quite acidic as it's breaking down. So that being said, you can have wonderful results from it. And that is what I use for the indoor plants. So the indoor plants here love their life. I mean, obviously, if you've watched my Turn Your House into a Rainforest video, then you will see the house plants. And for house plants, I utilize the peat moss based soils like the Fox Farm, the Happy Frog or the Ocean Floor or Forest Floor. I forget what the time, or even the Black Gold. Those are all good quality peat moss based potting soils, potting soilless medium. I use them indoors because I use the chemicals indoors, guys. I know. But over the years, I have experimented in so many different ways and I wanted it to work so bad. But in this type environment, inside of a house where there's like carpet and it's not like a greenhouse house, you know, like we had in California, those houses, those cabins are very different and stuff. Wooden floors, you know, slots in between the wood where water and dirt can fall through and stuff. So it's very different. But in an actual like Midwestern house, the organic stuff, like using compost as your, you know, to do your house plants, and then using natural fertilizers, it just goes rancid. It turns rancid. It makes the stuff smell, and it doesn't work because you just don't have the power of the soil food web. And so for that reason, I use the soilless growing medium, peat moss based, and Grow More 2020. You could also use Miracle Grow if you want. Now that's the only time I recommend those because this is such an unnatural environment for a plant to be in. You know, and so over time, we don't want it to become rancid. And you can see that this cutting here is bursting with life and health. And right now is the time to plant it. Do you see how it's getting this fresh one right there? Do you see how from the stem it's starting to sprout these fresh little ones? That's when we know. See right there? And look at the roots. They're just now about to hit the base of the container. And that's when we want to plant it into its final home, because we don't want them to wrap around for a long time and get all root bound up in there, like this one is. This one is super too far gone. I mean, it's not too far, but I've actually just, I don't have a pot big enough to put this massive, look at these, this is a pothos. Look at these leaves. So when I took this one, well, I just don't have like a place yet to put this one. But see how it's already starting to vine out? So it wants, guys, look at this. It's incredible that the pothos can survive in just water for years. I mean, that's incredible. Just reverse osmosis water for several years. And they don't grow very much, you know, they don't thrive, but they can survive in it. And if you want them to thrive, you got to do like I do in my video, and they'll grow like 15 feet in a year. Yeah. So, okay, everyone's talking about Coco. Yes. And Coco, yeah, I mean, they say that Coco is sustainable as well. But as B comments, says Coco comes from overseas on ocean liners that emit more than America's entire fleet of cars do in the same time frame it takes to arrive. LOL. But that's just for Americans specifically. Yeah, see, I don't know if we're producing any cocoa coir domestically. I don't know. But I do know that the cocoa coir is more sustainable in the sense that we can grow more of it. And it's a byproduct of other industries. So we're not mining a finite resource of it, you know? But guys, it's so much deeper than all of that. I mean, it's so much deeper than all of that. So use what works for you. I will say though that here, this will lead me into this to watch. When I grow microgreens, I like to just use blocks of cocoa coir. Yes, so I get these blocks like this. These are organic, of course. There's a link in the description to the exact one that I get. It's in my Amazon storefront. So I got this for you guys. You can just click the link, you know, and they come in blocks like this, individually packaged, 30 pounds. So this will do a number of trays. This will do like 2 trays, depending. And I mix this with about maybe 15% worm castings, locally made, locally harvested worm castings from the local company that I toured their facility and stuff. So I like to mix the cocoa coir with the worm castings for the microgreens, for the wheatgrass, for all of that. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's not necessary to feed your microgreens, or it's not necessary to nourish the wheatgrass or anything, because they're in there only for a short amount of time and they have everything that they need contained within the plant. But I've found that that's just not entirely accurate. You know, theoretically it makes sense, yes, but adding the worm castings, because they're already pre-digested by the worms and the bacteria in the worm systems, is like very plant available, and so they begin to use it fast. It's not like compost, or it's not like anything else where they would have to break it down. You know, if you mix chicken manure in with it, that's a waste of time, because the plants will not be there long enough to form those relationships with the microorganisms that can then unlock the nutrients for them. So instead, we're just going to use these bricks of cocoa coir and add about 10 up to 20% of worm castings, okay? And that is going to give it so that we'll have these nice, rich, beautiful trays of wheatgrass, yes? And this stuff is pretty much ready to juice. We'll give it another day or two, and we are going to juice this entire thing all at once, and it's going to be delicious, guys. And then we will put this on the compost pile, because it's cocoa coir and worm castings and now root mass. And so there's going to be all kinds of good stuff. So we're using it all, full circle. But you see here, guys, that wheatgrass is a very efficient capture of solar energy. So here we see chlorophyll. That is what makes it green. That is the little cells, the organisms that will that capture the sunlight and convert it into plant tissue and sugars and other things like this. The photosynthesis equation. And so this wheatgrass is one of the most, or ryegrass, you know, you can use several of the other grasses can supply you with huge amounts of chlorophyll. I mean, fresh, living chlorophyll, guys. We just take this and we're gonna juice it, and then we're gonna shoot it back. It can be hardcore, but if you don't like the taste, mix it with pineapple juice that you juice fresh, or maybe I'll do a video on it. But I like to do some cinnamon, yeah? To where you take it kind of like a snake bite. You remember those? So you put the cinnamon right there, right here on your palm like that. And then you drink the wheatgrass and then lick the cinnamon off. And that totally takes care of all the taste if you don't like it. But yes, guys, this has got so many vitamins and minerals and nutrients and everything that we need right now in the dark days of winter. We are almost at the solstice, the shortest day of the year. And so we are, now is when the body is wanting this kind of stuff. And so we're gonna take this, we're growing, we got multiple trays. As soon as you start growing one, as soon as one like gets uncovered from the blackout tray, then we start the seeds for the next one. So that about once a week we have a tray. And really, okay, it was inaccurate before. I'll probably do half of this and then about 2 days later do the other half. So yeah, we'll have the wheatgrass, you know, like 4 or 5 ounces of it, maybe once or twice a week. And that's enough to keep us really enthused. So, let us see. So, yes. VA Green says the cocoa can have a lot of salt content too. Yeah, I've heard of this, but I have not experienced that being an issue. So maybe. Tree Rogie says, I see a future Christmas gift there. Ooh, were you talking about this? Definitely. People love that. Or at least I think they do, because that's what they're getting. But everyone's like, oh, I don't have a green thumb. You got such a green thumb. And I just kill anything that I get. And I'm like, okay, well, stop saying that. Stop saying that. Stop thinking that. And stop doing that then. Why don't you just rearrange the narrative in the head to say, you know what? I am a nurturer of life, and life thrives anywhere where I am. Yes? And so then you will become you will shift energetically, and you will just understand what to do. You will water the things at the right time. You will give them what they want. You will give them the right chance to reach towards the light. Houseplants, vining plants like this, they want to be away from a good light source so that they can reach towards it. That's what they naturally want to do. Okay? So we don't want to put them right into the window. I never do that, because then they're already where they want to be. They're not going to vine out that much. So you got to give them something to reach for. That is very important with healthy vining plants. And then once they get to the window, so it vined for 30 feet. And once it did that and it got to the window, that's when it started producing these megadons here. This is the same pothos. And these were once it got to the window, because it was like, yes, we found our way. But you got to cut them off. You can't let them sit there for too long, because then the plant will think that it's found a new home and the rest of the vine will die. So there's a lot to it, but hey, you can... Kathy says, I always get Dr. Stephen Gundry, who goes on for hours if I can't get to the skip button. Oh, I know. Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. So it makes it, okay, tomatoes are toxic for your body. Tomatoes, and then he goes on a big, long rant about how the tomatoes have got microscopic razor blades in them that are killing your blah, blah, blah. Guys, that's not congruent with any of my life experience. When I'm hearing Dr. Gundry say about all of the toxic vegetables, that's just not congruent with my life experience or how I feel inside. I feel fantastic, from eating fresh living foods and in their natural state. But that being said, well, there is no that being said. No, I mean, I don't gorge myself on tomatoes, but I eat them all summer long and fresh. And then I make them into sauces and eat them once a week, maybe during the wintertime. Just nice, dark, rich tomato. Yeah. Wonderful, especially for male health. The lycopene, very good for prostate health. Just all around health. Yes. Yeah, Coin Crazy. That boy said, let there be light. It did. He said, oh, we reached the light. Bam. It's exactly what they want. So Rodney says, Rodney says, hi from South Africa. Hello, my friend. You guys are in your growing season now, huh? Elusive323 says, the new toxic one is black pepper. Oh, I know. They just, black pepper, well, because like Sadhguru, and he's very full of wisdom, definitely, but anybody, you don't take every single word they say to be gospel. You base it upon your own experience as well, your own logic, your own reasoning. Okay, scientifically, maybe this makes sense, but then experientially, does it make sense as well? So like Sadhguru and some of the Indian yogis, in their system of medicine, Ayurveda, there is positive life force foods, positive prana, and negative prana foods. Positive prana foods are like sprouts and lemon and ginger and turmeric and leafy greens and all of the stuff. I mean, they're primarily vegetarian, the whole culture. But then there's like and the positive prana foods add energy, add life force to you. All right. And so the negative prana foods, theoretically, based upon their system of belief and science, is that it sucks life force from you. And they put in that category garlic, onions, black pepper. Okay. I mean, if you guys are like me that cook from scratch every day, then that's blasphemous. Garlic and onions and black pepper, I eat loads of that. And so Sadhguru's like, yes, if you eat garlic and onions and black pepper, you will feel this lethargy and tired and blah, blah, blah. No, that is not the case with me. I mean, I respect what you're saying, Sadhguru, but that's not congruent with my life experience. I feel like garlic and onions and black pepper are superfoods. I mean, you can't get enough of them. I eat garlic and onions every single day. And black pepper as well. I put it on everything. And so, yeah, and I feel bursting with life force energy. Now, there's so much to unpack with all of that, but that's a basic rundown of sort of what that is. But yes, I still get lemons and ginger and turmeric as well. How many of you guys have made this? Yeah, I know some of you have shown pictures on the Discord, but man, like candy, guys. Wow, it's so delicious. Honey, yeah. Oh man. So this thing, even by Ayurveda standards, is bursting with life force. Super positive prana. But guys, you'll find in the internet world now and Instagram and all that, people just want to make a stand against something. They just want to have something to be about, you know? And so vegetables are trying to kill you. You know, like the Dr. Anthony Chafee or whatever it is. He's got kind of famous for making the argument. You know, he's got the whole presentation, plants are trying to kill you. And he goes on to say that he only eats meat. That's it. Plants have got the defense compound chemicals, yada, yada. They don't want to be eaten, and so they produce chemicals that harm the body. So that's why I only eat meat. Now, this is what the internet does. See, this is how you can use logic. Okay, logic can go so far that it can be illogic. Okay, in a way. So he's got a nice presentation, Dr. Anthony something, the plants are trying to kill you guy. He's got a nice presentation that uses logic that says, okay, and this guy's like very attractive looking. This really helps. You know, he's like attractive, got clear skin, looks healthy, you know, vibrant. So his message is received, you know, a lot different. So, and he's like, well, okay, using logic, plants don't want to be eaten. And so naturally they produce plant defense chemicals. Okay. And so when we eat those, it's slowly poisoning our body. And so he goes on, and it all makes sense. I mean, you're sitting there thinking, you're going, whoa, you're right. I mean, they don't want to be eaten. So yeah, they're producing oxalates and other chemicals, plant defense chemicals that make it so that we're sick. Yeah, that makes sense. But guys, we're taking that a bit too far, okay? We could also say that, I mean, does the cow want to be eaten? Does the chicken want to be eaten? Does the egg want to be eaten? No. I mean, no. So we could say, well, obviously the cow doesn't want to be eaten, and so it produces chemicals that are going to make us sick. We can use the same train of thought, you know. So what we have to do, though, is see that we are in our natural state. We can eat a plethora of different things. What matters the most is that we're not consuming man-made toxic shite chemicals. This is the most important by far. Yes. If you guys don't follow Eddie Ibu, right, on Instagram, he is a former bodybuilder, real bodybuilder. And but now he's sort of seen the light on all of that, all the chemicals and all the food and all of this. So yes, I would suggest following him. And so what got me onto all of that? Yeah. Mom Computer, yes, says if you use discernment, common sense, critical thinking, you will be better off than listening to all the misinformation out there. Absolutely. And that's the thing, guys. And that's why there's a war against your critical thinking capabilities. Anyone that watches television consistently, listens to the news consistently, gets super deep into passionate about politics and all of this kind of stuff. These are all mechanisms to lull asleep your critical thinking capabilities. We could go way deep into that, but these are all things to make it so that people can't think critically in a long sequence of thoughts. Their attention span is fractured into little 10-second or sound bites, little bleep, 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 bleep. And so they just want to receive. Television conditions the mind to passively receive information, not actively. So you're just sitting there passively just receiving the information, going right into the subconscious, guys. And you're not having an engaging conversation, dialogue, producing new thought, any of that. So it's very important we stop watching television. I can't stop this. It's just so delicious. My goodness. I got a number of other things I want to show you guys. Okay. Okay. Mississippi Soldier says, is it okay to use rabbit manure after it molds? Yes, no problem. Just mix it into the soil. It will be great. Yes. Jason Hetty, the media calls it programming for a reason. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. I mean, literally. Okay, it's literally programming the mind. But that's what we talk about more on the Thrive Like a Viking channel. Let's see here. Blue Wolf says, my elders taught me that plants are the givers of the world. They are okay with being eaten. Absolutely, my friend. This is what it comes down to. When you go deep within and you touch, you become possessed by the spirit of the earth, and it shows you its wisdom, then you will see that the plants are actually giving. They are giving you. They are self-sacrificing, and they're happy to do it because you can feel this energy of the earth within. You can feel that. It's not a struggle. They're not saying, no, don't eat me. They're saying, here, my friend, I will sustain your life because this is the highest blessing. Yes? This is what we see when we look deeply. Rick says, wait until you reach 50s and above. Those feelings slowly diminish. Enjoy and make the best of your youth, people, and take care of yourselves in what you eat and exercise. Get off the chemical food. Very well said, Rick. Yes, thank you. I could say the exact same thing, definitely. I mean, even in your even in your 30s and in your early 40s and stuff, that's when it starts to show. You know, I realize like in the 30s, that is when your lifestyle choices really begin to show in your face and in just your circumstances of your life. So you can get away with that stuff when you're teens and 20s and all that, and it doesn't really show. But then by the time you get into your 30s and beyond, then your lifestyle choices, you start seeing hard lines on people's face, deep wrinkles, and you can just tell when their face is kind of spends most of its time like this. The world sucks. Everything is negative. The world is a struggle. What am I going to do? What's the point of anything? The Illuminati are destroying everything. Bill Gates owns all the farmland. Oh, they can get all down about everything. And you can see it in their face. And so that is why we just don't give any of that a resting place. We just say, you know what? Once you cultivate your frequency to a certain level, none of that lower frequency stuff can even, it just bounces right off you. It just boom, because you're vibing so high. Yes. Wild Bill says, how old are you? I usually ask people, how old do you think? You know, because always my whole life they've said older than I actually am. Always, you know, but I am 38. Yes, I'll be 39 in July. Although I feel like I'm 1,000 years old because, you know, most people, they measure their life by the amount of different experiences they've had in some ways. And so that's how it makes a person feel. If you've done so many different things, you can feel a lot older in some ways. I don't have time to explain that right now, but yeah. William Smith says, can we grow different varieties of winter squash without cross-pollination, or will they all cross? They do cross. They do. I used to not really think that they do, but they actually kind of do. So if it's like a Tahitian melon squash and a honey nut or a butternut, those will cross. But you can grow different ones like a Jarradale squash and a butternut. You know, they have to be different enough, and they won't really cross. But if they're like different strains of butternut, then yes. I shouldn't have ate that stuff right while I don't know why I was talking, because now it's in my teeth. But yeah, guys, that is the K Jack says very wise for 38. Well, thank you very much, my friend. I attribute that to all of the teachers I've had in life. Yeah, it's nothing that I'm actually doing or have done. It's just going out into the world, because if you know me, you know that I traveled the world for like 10 years and had as many different diversity of experiences as I possibly could. I mean, literally, I even called myself at one point a new experience junkie. I mean, I would do anything for like a new, fresh experience because I had to know. And I think that that's what I think that that's what speaks. You know, that's what speaks is all those different and all the people that have shown me different things. It's just incredible. All the teachers along the way. The vast majority of them had no idea they were a teacher. And I didn't at the time, but then you reflect. Once you get to a certain point, you can reflect and your mind calms down and the inner dialogue isn't chattering and you're not possessed by the mind anymore. Then you can reflect on things and you can see the lessons in them. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Queen RB says, great convo this morning. Was listening while making single serving apple crisp for breakfast. Is it a healthy apple crisp or what? Do you got a recipe? Put it in the Discord chat, please. We're always looking for new recipes that people are liking. Yes, thank you guys. Thanks, Wild Bill. Says, so much wisdom. I appreciate you. Definitely, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to share the things that the world has taught me. Paul says, like when your chest drops to your waist, you know that was a bad choice. Yes. What was that guy? Dr. Ken Berry? He calls it Dunlap. He said, when you got Dunlap's disease. And I was like, what is that? When your belly Dunlapped over your belt. Yeah, he's Southern, so I found that was kind of funny. Well, he's got Dunlaps going on. Dunlap syndrome. Your belly Dunlapped over your belt. And yeah, guys, I mean, when you see those guys that are that have like those kind of a normal body, but then like a huge gut that just looks like it's just rock hard. My grandpa had one of those, and when you hit it, it's like a basketball is in there. Now, what is all that? It's not just fat. It's not fat. It's like hard, you know, and that is terrible stores of toxins, guys. It's so much more than just fat. If this was several hundred years ago, yes, it would be a fat. But now we are in a world that is flooded with toxins, man-made toxins. And so the body doesn't really know how to process them. And if you don't cleanse, and if your lifestyle isn't conducive to just naturally assisting the body with cleansing, then you're going to just store these toxins. So contrary to the narrative that mainstream will try to tell you, those huge fat guts and stuff like that is not caused by things like this. This is a tub of pastured lard. My friend just butchered the hogs, and I got like 10 of these huge tubs of lard. It is so delicious because it's the real deal. This is what nature intended us for us to eat. Now, I know that these hogs are pastured. I know that they are not the kind, industrial kind. That would be something I would never eat. You know, but this is raised in such a way that I know is the real deal. And so, and the variety of hog that they choose is it's all like old school, you know, very old school. And so this is lard, which is delicious and has a very good taste to it. It's like bacon. I mean, it's like bacon grease without the salt and nitrates and all that garbage. And so there's nothing wrong with frying your stuff in lard or with using lard in your cooking. The mainstream narrative, though, is that, oh no, it's got saturated fat in it, and that's terrible for you. So you got to use margarine and canola oil instead, and vegetable oil. Well, just like when the doctor used to recommend a pack of cigarettes for your sore throat, and now we know that that's disastrous and inverse of the truth. It's the same with the oils. All that you have to use canola oil, you have to use vegetable oil and margarine and Crisco, all of that is the inverse of the truth. The truth is what nature has already done for us, already in its natural form. This is just stored fat from the pig, the hog, and rendered down at a very low temperature. So this is high in vitamin D and all different kinds of minerals. And so the type of saturated fat in here, guys, is what the brain is made of. The brain is, what percent is it? Is it like 60% saturated fat? And like this type of saturated fat, not directly lard, but these types of saturated fats and cholesterol are precursors to so many hormones for us. It's so important to get this type of fat, especially, well, for men and women, but especially for men, because cholesterol and saturated fat, precursors to testosterone, and this is very important for hormone regulation. All right. Now, this is lard, this is tallow, and so I render this down as well. This I render myself. You just ask for the kidney fat from the butcher, and you can get this, render this down. They're different in flavor, definitely. I have to say I like the lard better because, I mean, it's bacon, basically. And I am not shy about this stuff, guys. I mean, in the sense that when I fry something, it is swimming in lard. And I love it, dude. No problem. I mean, and I have zero issues with overweight, with any of that. Zero issues. Okay, because it's not what we've been led to believe. That, oh no, you're going to eat the lard and it's going to go right into your arteries and do exactly this. It's going to become solid right in your arteries. That's not how it works. Okay, this is very good for us. Do not shy away, my friends. In fact, for the 2 years when I was vegetarian, when I was teaching meditation at the Buddhist temple and all of this, I was vegetarian. No animal products, basically. And I look back at videos of myself. There's some of those videos on my old channel or on my other channel, the old videos from like 3 years ago, the Master Cleanse videos and stuff. And I was vegetarian at that time. And it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But you can just see that there wasn't the underskin fat. The body just wants this kind of stuff. And I know this because and the way that it felt once I started eating the meats and the animal products again, absolutely transformed. And the clarity of thought and the fullness of the face, the fullness of the body, and the lubrication of the joints, all of this is good. Yeah. So, yes. And CyberCert says, I'm out in the yard right now. I have an old X-Rain barrel full of autumn leaves and rainwater that is rich brown color from the leaves. What should I do with it? Zone 6. Well, those are mostly, I would just empty it onto the, unless you're going to try and make a liquid fertilizer, I would just empty that out into the garden, let it all kind of get in there, and then purposely make something. Yeah. Leaves don't make a great JLF. Just leaves, because there's not a lot of nitrogen in them. You can mix it with other things, but grass is the best. If you're just going to do one liquid fertilizer, just straight grass, if you're only going to do one ingredient. Crystal says, I've been making cold processed soaps. Nice. Considering using tallow in my recipes. Yes, that would be very good. Now, unless you are butchering your own stuff or raising your own livestock, that's going to be costly. It's going to be costly. Unless you get maybe industrial stuff. But the tallow is not cheap, unless you're, like I said, raising it yourself or you got a friend that's got a bunch of it. But yeah, this tallow is very good, although it imparts a bit more of a flavor. Even this stuff, which is super low heat, as low as possible, but you want to do you want the heat to be as low as possible, guys, because one time I tried to rush it and ended up burning it slightly. I didn't know it at the time, but if it's crackling, if you're doing your tallow, rendering it down, and it's crackling and it smells like fried chicken, you're in trouble. It got too hot. It's now the whole thing's just going to taste like old gas station fried chicken, and that was terrible because I had 20 of these worth. So you just let it take time, low as possible. Okay. Very important. Wayne Caroli, I could give a lecture on butter alone. Oh, I get it, my friend. Definitely. Mom Computer says, Sandy, thank you. Just trying to help where I can. Mom Computer is full of good knowledge. Yes. Thank you for sharing. Joe Slack says, Nate, you are great. What are your thoughts on MCT oil consumption? He's talking about medium chain triglycerides, and that is like a fractionated coconut oil, which can be good, yes, but there is no need to take that. If you're like taking MCT oil, that's gimmicky. I'm sorry if you're wholeheartedly believe in it. That's fine if it works for you. But me and my understanding of everything and my experience is that anytime that you try and separate something from the whole, you're getting something that's inferior. And so the best way, if you want to get full the medium to the MCT and everything, then just take the coconut oil. Just use the straight up coconut oil and you will get all the stuff that you want, okay? Saturated fats as well. Don't fear the saturated fats. And so, or use the lards and stuff. So, but I think you're talking about MCT oil as a supplement. And just take a shot of fresh or of extra virgin olive oil. Yeah. And you'll be good to go. Or drink something like bone broth, guys. Super big time bone broth season. I'm using it all the time. Oh, it's so delicious. I'm making all kinds of stuff with it. I've been making a Moroccan lamb curry several times the past couple weeks, and I use the bone broth in that and all kinds of spices. Learned how to make it during my time in Morocco. Elusive says, if you're ever in the deep south of New Zealand, give us a shout, Mr. Viking. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I will let you guys know. Claude G says, we are late, but we'll watch it from the beginning. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, start it over. We got all kinds of good knowledge this time, all kinds of good conversations. Lisa T says, tallow has a unique viscosity for our cells and skin, and rendering is easy but can get messy. Well worth all of that. Definitely well worth it for sure. You know how that's kind of irritating when you get a piece of a big fibrous ginger stuck into your teeth. So here we are sprouting the speckled peas for about 2 days until we can just see the tail come out. Do you see how you can just see the little tail coming out? Now this is gonna go down into the basement, into the microgreens, because we're growing pea shoots, we're growing sunflower microgreens, we're growing wheatgrass, we're growing cabbage microgreens, guys. We're going crazy with the microgreens because there's no other greens right now. And we're just making sure that our seed starting setup is dialed in, which of course, mine always is. But you might want to do it so that you can make sure that yours is. Crystal says, I can get it. Okay, I've been hearing about how wonderful tallow is for soaps. I can get it for about $10 per pound. It's cheaper than some other ingredients. $10 a pound. Yeah, I think you could probably make it for cheaper and this is the grass-fed stuff. So because we'll get about 10 of these from a $25 batch of suet. So you could break that up, $2.50 for one of these, and that's got to be a pound, or maybe even more. So Lisa T says, what time tomorrow is Thrive Power of Now? 11 o'clock, guys, 11 o'clock. We'll still do the Monday thing, but it's not going to be the book read, all right? Kathy says, I made the mistake of ordering Gundry's Madagascar expensive olive oil. Now I can't shake him. Oh, yeah. Well, because now the algorithm says, hey, they're one of the people that are going to buy into it. or, you know, buy it at least. Sorry, guys. It's not really polite to pick your teeth in front of people. Okay. Okay. Anyways, just going to have to remain perfectly equanimous about it because it's still there. But look, guys, these are the peppers, okay? So these are the Tabasco peppers. Now, they're still fermenting, okay? This is important to note that we're not, see, look, when I don't know if you can tell, but when I hit it, there's bubbles still coming up. And so that means it's still fermenting. So watch, I'll hit it a little bit, see if you can see the bubbles. Well, I can see them, but anyways, there's still small bubbles coming out from time to time. So that means that the fermentation is still happening. So we're going to allow it to keep happening until there's not really any more bubbles. And this is the Tabasco peppers with garlic. This is just straight up Tabasco peppers. We made it in a very strong brine. 3 tablespoons of sea salt per 2 cups of water. So we're going to let that continue to ferment. And there was no starter used in this. We're going to let that continue for about another couple of weeks until there's no more bubbles. And then we're going to mix it and let it mellow. Okay? Brian says, Nate, going back, I had a question on the wheatgrass. Do you get more than one cutting or is it one and done? Well, that's the thing, guys, that depending on the type, you can get about 2. You can get 2 cuttings. So if you have a nutrient-rich source, okay, meaning this is mostly well, this one is actually peat moss-based potting soil with worm castings. But most of the, because I didn't have the bricks until just yesterday, they finally came back in. And so you want to fill it pretty much most of the way with the medium. And then, yes, if you keep it well watered and ventilated, you can get 2 cuttings. But the thing is that with most people is that it will start to mold after the first cutting, you know, or after too much time. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and aerated in there. But the second batch is not nearly as good anyways. But yeah, I mean, for as much as it is, if you get like I've done and got like a from True Leaf Seeds, I got a 5-gallon bucket of the white winter wheat berries, and it only takes 1 cup to do a whole tray. So you don't really need to sit there and do 2. You know, let it sit there for so long. Just cut it down, put it in the compost, or I mean, juice it, put it in the compost, start the fresh batch, and because you get more of the nutrients that way. So that's what I like to do. And can you see here how the ends of this are sort of growing in? That's because I just use shop lights, guys. And I just have one shop light running this way down the heat mat. And so that's a good way to do it because then everything stays nice and tight. And it wants to grow up towards the light. You see how it's all nice and even? But we'll talk about all that when I do the video. But I'm not doing any videos until the new year. I made that choice. Just the lives, no other videos on this channel until the new year. And then I'm gonna hit it hard. Yeah, we got it. Because I'm realizing that this line of work is very seasonal because the stuff, everything just plummets off a cliff as soon as the season is done. And nobody's like really interested that much, at least not my algorithm yet. So then when the season comes, I'm gonna hit it heavy. Yeah, we're gonna do all kinds of good videos. Got it more planned out for you guys. But here is something I wanted to show you here in just a moment. If you guys are looking for Christmas gifts for somebody, or if you yourself are like a content creator, and or if you are reverse osmosis water. If you guys are content creator, if you have to spend hours, editing and stuff like that, like I'm doing at the moment, because also, because I'm getting a lot of things in line, writing the book, I'm writing the gardening book, and I am starting production again on the Travel Like a Viking channel. So the first video will be out next Friday. Yes, I'm going to start those videos for a while. And so it's been 2 years since I made that videos, and I am going to start that back up. So look for that next Friday. If you're into the Travel Like a Viking channel, where I give narratives and stuff, use storytelling about the travels. So we are still on the island, and I'm doing the scuba diving thing. The becoming a scuba diving dive master, instructor, and all of that. So check out those videos. But where that's leading me is I want to show you guys, man, and this is in my Amazon storefront if you want this MX vertical mouse. Guys, it blew me away. I've been using it for about 4 days now. And look, this is how you use this mouse. It's vertical like this. It's incredible because and it's super sensitive. So when I'm sitting on the desk, I just barely rest my hand and just boom, you just barely have to move it. And it's in this natural, handshake type position. Instead of the little magic mouse where I have to cram my hand down, get carpal tunnel and everything. I can tell already after 4 days, I love this thing. So you guys can check it out. It's in the Amazon storefront. Highly recommend it, guys, because we're not meant to be sitting in front of computers all day. Not at all, especially somebody like me, not meant to do that. But we're doing it as a means to an end. So that's what we're doing. Then one more thing, this, which I also highly recommend because I'm writing the book now, the gardening book. And so I had to get this ergonomic keyboard, which is fantastic. I have been, and no, this company's not sponsoring me, nothing. I'm just telling you guys this just because I think it's amazing. And so I wasn't jamming my hands down for that tiny little magic, Mac keyboard. This thing has opened up my hands and it gives a place to rest. And yeah, so I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's fantastic because it takes all the strain off. And so I use the Pomodoro technique when I write the book. I use the Pomodoro technique where I set a timer. There's videos for it on YouTube, but I set a timer. So it's 2 hours in total, but 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. And I do that for 2 hours, sometimes for 4 hours. And so I just, boom, go to town on it. And that is way better than the one that the Mac comes with. Right, says, why do you have a hard lid on something fermenting? Are you trying to make a bomba? Yeah, well, anyone that knows these lids knows for sure that these are a joke and that these allow anything to escape. So it really is, they're actually totally, everything can just escape. So these white lids are perfect for fermentation because the gas can easily escape. I mean, if you shake it hard, the liquid escapes even. So they're kind of a joke, but you can use them for fermenting. So yeah, I would not put one of the dark colored lids on it or one of the metal ones. But this one, oh boy, smells like Tabasco already. But this one, no problem. Yeah. Pilar says, it's like a Salvador Dali keyboard. Yeah. Pomodoro technique is good. Oh, absolutely. I love it. I love it because when it's time to go, it's go time, bam, nothing else. But then during that 5 minutes, okay, you can check whatever you got to do or get a drink or something, and then boom, right back to work. And then 2 hours of that kind of effort, you can get as much, you can get a ton of stuff done. Definitely. You can get a ton of stuff done in that amount of time. Mom Computer says, more cowbell. I need more cowbell. Sorry, I meant to say more thumbs up. That's right, guys. Give us a thumbs up if you can. Big Wheel Dog, yes, says, that's why I used a ball mouse for years. No movement needed. That's true, but you're still, they've all got their pros and cons. I guess I've never tried a ball mouse. Someone says, get your blue blockers. Yeah. Hey, I don't care. Elizabeth says, yay, travel like a Viking. So much fun. Yes, she's talking about the narrative. Guys, if you haven't watched it already and you're interested in the traveling experiences, there's 26 videos on there. I transferred those videos from a different channel. I started those videos like 5 years ago, and I haven't made one for like 2 years. But now we're going to make them again. So. Muddy Paw says, how do you control gnats in microgreens and houseplants using diluted hydrogen peroxide now? So the gnats are going to mostly like your bag soils. Those will have gnats eggs already in them. But I just don't really have that big of an issue with it because I don't overwater. I have good airflow. I keep the right temperatures, and if I have any issues with it, then I will use like a labs, or I just never have issues with it. Yeah, I know. Well, because they don't really have any food with the because I sterilize the potting soil before I bring it in for the house plants, and I don't use the organic stuff, and so there's not molds and fungi and gnats, moss and stuff like that growing on the surface. So therefore, there's no food for them, for the gnats and all that kind of stuff. There's no decomposing plant matter really, so there's nothing for them to eat. Leland, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I think first tip of the day. Appreciate all the time and work you put into your videos and lives. Thank you very much, my friend. Yes, it is a lot of time and efforts, but well worth it. Let's see here. Shut the phone off, of course. Jason Hetty says, Mason Tops makes a good fermenting lid for bowl jars and glass weights. Yes, I think so. I think I've heard this. But I mean, these let everything escape as well. So yeah, guys, you will be planting your onion seeds first. Okay, so in January, late January, you'll be planting your onion seeds. That'll be the first thing. Then will be the ginger later. My ginger this year grew twice as fast as the previous years because the system was just more dialed in. Kathy Tittle, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, I second that, Leland. Yes, thank you, guys. It's always lovely to feel appreciated. Thank you. Sandy says, that's my question. Compost on indoor plants. I don't do it because bugs and worms. Yeah, no, I don't do any kind of compost on indoor plants, not even worm castings and stuff like that. There's just no need for that because it will only lead to molds and insects and all kinds of other stuff. So that has been my experience, guys. Let's see. Wayne says, man, ginger was out of control. The onions are a huge success. Thank you, Nate. Nice. Yes. The onions have been great, guys. The onions we got tons of onions downstairs still. Everything is storing really well. It's thriving, of course. Mick, $20. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Look at that. Yes. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you, guys. Jason Hetty, I just received my order from Baker Creek today. Got my yellow of Parma and Wethersfield Reds. That's right. See, I was going to say, hey, guys, get the yellow of Parma, but I haven't ordered mine yet, so they better not sell out of them. So I'm not going to say that yet, even though I just did. So yellow of Parma, the Wethersfield Red, also the Australian Brown. They're an intermediate day, okay? So they can be, wow, look at you guys, man. Ginny Grubb, $20. Says, I third that. Thanks, guys. Well, this is nice. Yes. Because is this our last talk before Christmas? No. Christmas Eve is a week from tomorrow. Okay. So you better get your stuff ready and done. Yeah. You better get ready and done. Doug McCoy says, my sweet potato took too long to sprout. Yeah, that's why I don't do the water method anymore. The soil method, man, they were sprouting like crazy. So watch the video I made this past year on the sweet potatoes, and that should be everything that you need to know. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I want to make like another sweet potato video, but I can't just keep remaking sweet potato videos. Although each year I learn and refine things, so. Andy Crawley says, "Hi Nate, what do you recommend for leaf septoria? This year my garden was decimated by it this year in southeast Michigan." Okay, that's going to be the JDOM sulfur. You're going to want to go full JDOM protocol, the JDOM wetting agent, JDOM sulfur. You'll want to apply those. Now, by the time you get it, I don't know what to do as a preventative. I'm going to go ahead and say aerated compost teas. That pretty much, that's the best preventative that there can be, is the aerated compost teas. And you will see that video coming in the early spring. I will make that video, and we will, that ultimately, you crowd out the pathogens so that they don't have the opportunity to take hold and become the dominant the dominant microorganism. So we are going to utilize the aerated compost teas, and that's going to have all kinds of good stuff in it. And so that's going to not let the septoria gain a foothold. Okay, but once it does, then we will use the JDOM sulfur and the JDOM wetting agent in its maximum concentration for about 3 to 5 applications over the course of 2 weeks to make sure that we've cured it. So yes, that's what I recommend. But the best is preventative. So have good base fertilizer, good aeration in the soil, and good roots, so you're not getting root rot and all kinds of other stuff. And then you will apply the aerated compost teas once a week. That's what you'll do. And that's an overhead that rains right on top of everything. That just rains down on them. Yeah, on the leaves and everything. Wow, $20. Look at you guys, man. Thank you. Says, me too. We appreciate you, Nate, my friend. Hey, yes, it's lovely to be appreciated. So yeah, I really appreciate this tribe as well. Definitely. It's a great expression. It's a great learning experience for both of us, all of us. And it's just fantastic. So, and we get to talk about our passions and all of that is great. So yes, join the Discord if you haven't already. Pam says, yes, my sweet potatoes went crazy. I tried for the first time in the soil, a great success. Oh, definitely. Yeah, Mom Computer says soil method to start sweet potatoes is the best. Yes, it really is. Mom Computer says, you guys are great today. Thank you for all the donations. Nate's full of helpful information, isn't he? Nice way to say thank you to Nate. Thank you. Thank you for thanking everybody for the donations. So we'll just bring that full circle. Yes. So Wayne Caroli says, I'm going to grow some shallots this year. Oh, yeah, that might be good. Guys, we're probably going to have a batch of Egyptian walking onions for sale. It's going to be like pre-ordered, and because we're growing them out at my uncle's. And the Egyptian walking onions, if you don't know anything about them, check it out, okay? They are the ultimate perennial onion, and they just grow and grow, super cold hardy, down to zone 2. And they just come back every year. You can eat the tops, you can eat the greens, you can eat the bulbs like shallots. That's what made me think of it. And they just keep dividing. And so once you get one batch, you'll pretty much always have them. And so I will let you know as that time gets closer, but it'll probably be like a $40 minimum kind of thing. And then you guys can I'll send you the whole package. A pack of Egyptian walking onions, maybe some Tahitian melon squash seeds, some other stuff that we're growing here from my personal seeds, just to help spread it. So it'd be great. And $5, Crystal. Thank you, my friend. Did you get hooked up with the Fry Farms, the co-op? I hope you did. Mick says, need to leave a little early. Happy Saturday and keep it growing. Yes, good luck tomorrow, my friend. Keep it quiet. Blackbird Schoolies. Hello, my friends. Yes, hello, guys. He's got a great Instagram account. Converts school buses into like cool RVs. Check it out. Yes. Ooh, I can't see that full comment, but Blackbird says, been super busy. Landlords sold our place out from under us, so we've been busy trying to move. Big mess. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, it's only getting more and more cutthroat. The landlord, the whole financing thing, I mean, all of that kind of stuff is it's only getting more cutthroat. And we can just see this. This isn't really even an opinion. You can just tell by what is happening all around us. AK Froggy says, do you also like the perennial carawissa onions? I'm not familiar with what that is. Sorry. Tommy Harder says, Egyptian walking onions sound great. They are. I mean, they're the ultimate. You just plant them once and you get them, they grow up and then they have a top set and then they fall over later in the year. And that way, that's how they walk. And then they grow from that top set. So when they grow up, right before they fall over, we will harvest them and we'll package them up and we can ship them to you guys if that's what you want. So Blackbird says, I'll send updated pics of the garden as well. Still eating from it. Nice. That's what we like to hear, guys. That is what we like to hear. Wait, I need to answer one of these questions. That's right. Wait. There was one question from you guys that I was supposed to answer, but I think I forgot. Sorry. Well, here it is. Muddy Paw says, are the Egyptian walking onions sweet? They're more like shallots. They're like shallots. Very pungent. Very pungent. Sal A says, are you referring to the Japanese onions by any chance? I don't know what those are, but I do grow green onions, which are Japanese Oriental variety. Yes. Yes. So Sandy says, I've moved 3 times my soil, my compost too, and way too many plants. Oh yeah. You've moved the soil and the compost. Yeah. Yeah, I would almost do that. My thing is that when we leave here to go to, I'm here until we get the land. Once we get the land, then it's all popping off. But when that happens and I leave here, it'll be a very bittersweet kind of experience, And I really hope that the next person the next person is going to see what they have here, with the soil, how the soil is exploding with life. I guarantee you nobody in this whole area has this kind of soil right here because I've cultivated it over the past handful of years. And so hopefully they'll see that and go, wow, let us just keep growing food right in this area, right exactly here. The worst thing would be if somebody was like, oh, look at this big mess. We're going to have to plant grass seed and put down a bunch of fertilizer and grub killer. Oh man, could you imagine that? Billions of earthworms, maybe not that many, but lots out there. And yeah, so you just kind of hope that the person sees that and will take care of that, I know, Sandy. No, I won't be moving the garden. Nope, I won't be moving the compost and all that because it's all going to be a journey. When we go to the new place, it will be a journey and you guys will come along for all of it. The videos will transform a little bit. They'll be a little bit more, they'll just have to be different. It'll be like this whole new adventure and stuff. And so we will be starting all this stuff from scratch because I want to show you guys and everybody how actually simple it is and how quickly you can do it. So even if it's like farmland that I'll have to reclaim, and nurture, poisoned farmland, we can still do it. I absolutely know this. I guarantee this. And so that'll be a great thing to start from scratch, all of this. That's right. Tammy Harder says, one can only hope that the new owners will be stewards of the land. Yes, that's exactly what we can hope. Muddy Paws, they're going to put a massive pool. Yeah, right. That would be better than turning it back to grass and dumping fertilizer and grub killer and weed and feed on it. Definitely. Especially because we've got so many flowers now. I mean, even if they didn't do anything, there'd be tons of flowers coming back, and there'd be tons of green onions, and there'd just be tons of stuff coming back. Brian says, build a good team, my Viking friend. Oh, absolutely. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Okay, guys. Well, that's pretty much time. So I really appreciate the donations today, and the conversation's been awesome. Guys, if any guys in your life are looking for a last minute Christmas gift, the good old Marine Corps K-Bar. I can't recommend it highly enough. Yeah, this is in my Amazon storefront. It's a wonderful tool, and it's beautiful, and I carried it every day for several years. So it's like a wonderful companion, and I highly recommend it for somebody if they like that. So, okay, one more question. The Lose 3 Grow Tree says, what can I do with leaves that I collected in the forest that have mycelium among them, but they're not broken down the leaf mold yet? Use them. Absolutely, you can use them. Yes, if they've got the white mycelium on them, you keep it all in your storage bucket. So if you watch my video about how to gather that stuff, then you keep it all in a bucket with a breathable lid like a burlap. Keep it somewhat moist, and it will stay good for a year, no problem. And yes, keep the leaves. You can put them into the bucket, and they will just help everything grow. You can add the leaves. You can add the mycelium covered leaves into your ferments and stuff like that, your fertilizer ferments. So yeah, yep, you can just treat it basically like leaf mold soil. Yeah. And Kip Tap, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says great gift. Oh yeah, maybe you're talking about the K-Bar, or you're talking about the $10, because both is true. So thank you. So okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow on the Thrive Like a Viking channel for our book discussion about the power of now. Then also I'll see you on Monday on the same channel, Thrive Like a Viking, at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time for our usual meditation sort of talk and everything else. And I will see you right here next week at the same time, 12 noon Eastern Time on Saturday. And I will see you in the Discord. Check out the Discord, okay?